What's up, guys? Welcome back to another tech adventure into the mysteries of Lua. And today we're going to be talking about io.read and printing table values to the terminal. Let's get started. Okay, a quick note on displaying text on the terminal. Last class we went into more detail of how to use print to accomplish some formatting and some nice text on the screen. Now, if you talk to anybody who knows Lua, they will say stop using print. And why? Well, because there's something else called io.write. Now, print is for quick and simple outputs to the terminal. It allows you to it's really great for debugging. So you can add a print statement where you're curious, is the code going over here? You can add a print statement in there and it prints it out. It's easy, simple to use, simple to work with. And that's why I predominantly stick to it, because this is not really what I want to focus on. I want to get over to mind test. But io.write is more powerful. It gives you more granular control over the text that is displayed. And as a result, as with anything like this, it becomes there's a burden, there's challenges that come along with that, even though it is far more powerful than print. For instance, you can write you can use io.write to write to text files. So right now, it only prints to the terminal right there, right? Which is very handy but limited. io.write allows you to write to text files. So let's say that you wanted to save a state of a gameplay. You can write it to a text file, and then when the game loads back up, when you load the game back up, it can check that file to see if there's any saved states. If there is, it'll load all that data back in, and then you're up and running again. So anyways, it's a very valuable tool, and we may or may not use it to achieve or to accomplish, I don't know, saving data. I don't know what, but just wanted to throw that out there so you're aware of io.write. And if you want to check it out, it's fairly you can use it to print to the screen very easily, but you'll notice right away that, oh, that's kind of different. So that's io.write. And another disclaimer, since I have not written ff.lua yet, which is foodfight.lua, the game, I haven't written it yet. So there's going to be this sort of back and forth process where we write some code, and then later on we maybe delete it or change it or move it. And so that's just the nature of the beast. I haven't written the code yet, but I'm trying to guide us in what seems like the best way. There's no one perfect way to approach code, and so more than likely we're going to have to rearrange and move things around and possibly delete stuff. Well, yeah, definitely delete stuff too. So please bear with me as we make changes to that code. You know, someday you'll say, wait, why did I just did all that work? What? Well, you're gonna have to just bear with me. Okay, this is where you're gonna want to follow along and type what I type. All right, so first we're gonna start with io.read. What is it? Well, I have introduced it before, and all that it does is it allows an input from some place, from some location. And the standard input, the default input, is through the terminal. But just as a disclaimer, you can also read from a file, but we're not going to do that right now. So if we write io.read all by itself, it's going to wait. It's going to stop the terminal, and I'm just going to run this for you. We're going to go up here. No, whoops, that's not right. We're going to go up here to Lua, and then we're going to... So we're just running the code from, what was that, Monday? I don't know. And you can see here, typically when we run a Lua file, it runs and it prints everything, right? And then it goes straight to printing our home directory right here, the username. But in this case, it's just stopped right there, frozen, if you will. Well, what it's doing is it's waiting for an input. So if we write then it says thank you, and it moves on. And we haven't now. The was then put right here, if you will, and nothing was done with and the code ended. So what we want to do is probably catch that input. So we could write, let's just say, following in the same, no, let's just write, B equals io.read. So we've defined A earlier, and this is something that I added. So I'm going to delete this so that I'm back to where you were. All right, so we have B equals io.read. And what's going to happen then is whatever io.read gets, it dumps into B, right? So then we can say print, B, save it, and head on over here. Make sure I've got the right thing. Yes, I do. And I can say and so. And that's it for io.read, but there's a lot more. And as a note, please listen, do not input numbers yet. I'm going to probably cover that at some point in the near future. Do not input numbers. What happens is when you read a number from the terminal, it is inputted as text, and then you have to do some operations on it in order to convert it back into a number. So just stick to text for now. Stick text. One more thing before we move on. It's not very nice when we just stop the cursor right there and the user doesn't know what's going on. What we want to do is provide some sort of prompt. And in this case, we're going to ask the user to please enter text. So after saving it, we're going to come down to the terminal and run that, and it says nothing. Well, that makes a lot of sense because I put it after io.read. So make sure you get your order correct. Hope you guys see that. So I'm going to save that, go down to the terminal, enter in some text, whatever, and then clear that and run my code. And so now it says, please enter text. So it's asking the user for an input so they know what's going on. So now I can say text and done. Of course we wrote text, and then it actually printed what we inputted. Now we want to get into actually printing tables, and so we have to first define a table. Let's just create an example one that says let's make two. One that says apple, the next one's and then just some menu items. So that's our first table. It's going to have some items that we can purchase, or just fruit, right? And then the next one, we're going to do something similar, but instead of writing apple in quotation marks, we're going to assign it equal to some price. So like this. So here we have we have two different tables. First one just has some items, and then the second one has the item with some sort of value associated with that item. Now, this is important for food fight, so pay attention to the formatting of those two arrays. So how do we print a table item? Well, let's start with C. The simplest way to write a table item is using the square brackets. And there's in table C, there are 3 different items. So there's one item, the first item, there's the second item, and then there's the third item. So all you have to do is, if you want to print the first item, you can simply write C, square brackets, and then 1. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to comment out this io.read so that I'm not stuck there, and save that, clear, loop, run my code, and there. it printed out C. It printed out C, or the first item in C, which is Apple. Now let's say we wanted to print out the cost, or D, of Apple. All right, so how do we do that? Well, you got to recall the concatenator, because we're going to have this all on the same line. So we're going to say Apple costs, and don't forget your quotation marks, costs, double dot, and then the price. But how are we going to do the price? Well, this is the way I want you to do it. We're going to write D, and this would be the simplest method, D1. No, I'm sorry, that's not going to work. But you would think that it would print the value, but you can see here that the first slot is like some sort of assignment where A gets the value of 1. So we can't just write 1. What we have to do is we would have to specify the actual name or of the first slot. So instead of this slot is the first slot, this is not number 1 slot, it is Apple slot. And the way that so what we can do here is we can write Apple, save it, and let's try it. So I got that wrong. I had to put quotation marks around Apple in order to actually reference the Apple slot. So it would be square brackets, parenthesis, quotation mark, Apple, to access this value right here. And it prints out this Apple costs 1, which looks horrible. So we're going to add some spaces in here before and after cost, save it and run that. And there, it's working. But I want to show you one more thing, and that is we don't have to actually write Apple at all. Since we have this text is actually a part of this table C, we can simply reference the first slot of C, and this, in effect, C square bracket 1 has the value of Apple. And if we save that, come down here to Lua, we run it, it works. Okay, quick note here. This is very valuable since we have a common variable that we can change. Let's say we want to print the next item in our menu. All we have to do is change that number to a 2. And if we press save, go over here to Lua or terminal, it then prints the second item, which is orange costs 2. We check up here, we see orange, and then the cost is 2. So it worked as indicated. So the assignment for today is to so with that food fight menu that you created, there's going to be some items that you have in your menu, and I think we called that table food. So what you're going to have to do is take it from and you defined your table like this, right? You defined it with Apple equals to 1 and so on and so forth. Well, now you need to also create a table with simply the items. All right, so you should have, regardless of where you are right now, you should have 2 tables in your menu function, which are organized like this. Then what you're going to do is print that menu to the screen so that the user can see the menu items available, and then ask the user which item they would like to purchase. So you're going to have to use your knowledge of tables, how to print tables, how to concatenate, how to use io.read, and then finally how to use an if statement so that the program can determine, okay, so they selected Apple. We now know if they selected Apple, how much to charge them. So that's semi makes sense, I guess. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching, guys.